In India, the fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression has been neglected in several ways in the recent times. This can be justified by a drop in the ranks in the Freedom of Press Index. In this video, we will be talking about sedition, media's dissent, and a few other topics.
Difference between criticism and sedition. Criticism is the practice of judging the merits and faults of something, and the person who engages in criticism is to criticize. One specific item of criticism is a criticism or critic. It is an evaluative or corrective action that can occur in any area of human life. It can therefore take many different forms and depends on how people go about criticizing and can vary in a great deal. It is often presented as something unpleasant, but there are friendly criticisms, and some people find great pleasure in criticism. To criticize does not necessarily imply to find fault, but the word is often taken to mean the simple expression of an object against prejudice, no matter positive or negative. Often, criticism involves active disagreement, but it may also mean taking sides. Sedition. Sedition is overt conduct, such as speech and organization, that tends towards rebellion against the established order. Sedition often includes subversion of a constitution and incitement of discontent toward or insurrection against established authority. Sedition is certainly an act of spreading disaffection against the government. It may include any commotion, though not aimed at direct and open violence against the laws. Sedition means inciting people to rebel against the state. Criticism of government, not sedition. For example, in a democracy, singing from the same songbook is not a benchmark for patriotism. People should be at liberty to show their affection towards their country in their own way. For doing the same, one might indulge in constructive criticism or debates, pointing out the loopholes in the policy of the government. Expressions used in such thoughts might be harsh and unpleasant to some, but that does not render the actions to be branded seditious. Some acts that might be criticism are not seditious, and everyone has to be aware of the meaning of these two terms and how they play an important role in today's constitution.
Do you know what's common between Kanhaiya Kumar, Arundhati Roy, Asim Trivedi, Umar Khalid, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi? This sedition law.
The sedition provision, which was drafted by the British colonial rulers in 1870, comes under Section 124A of the Indian Penal Code. It punishes anyone seen to excite or attempt to excite feelings of disaffection against the government. It is a non-bailable offence and has life imprisonment as the maximum punishment. However, the use of sedition law to curb all kinds of criticism against the government, not just against incitement to violence, has been well documented over the years. The terms used under the section, like disaffection, are vague and subject to different interpretation to the whims and fancies of the investigating officers. It was found that the sedition charges were a de facto strategy for many of the governments each time they encountered public criticism and protests. There was a 165% jump in the number of sedition cases filed from 2016 to 2019. 22 sedition cases were filed after the Hathras gang rape, 96 amid the CAA protests, and 27 after the Pulwama terror attack. Those charged with sedition included opposition leaders, students, journalists, and authors. A prominent example of the misuse of the sedition provision involves the 22-year-old climate change activist, Disha Ravi. It was said that Ravi had collaborated to spread disaffection against the Indian state, while all she did was support the farmers' protest with the help of a toolkit. If supporting our farmers' protest amounts to sedition, then I'm happy to be in jail, she said. Globally, sedition is increasingly viewed as a draconian law and was revoked in the United Kingdom in 2009. Why should India retain sedition when British, who introduced sedition to oppress Indians, have themselves abolished the law in their country?
In this country, the brand of anti-national is given to anyone who criticizes the government. There have been instances where people have faced consequences for actions that they did not take. One such example is the stand-up comedian Munawar Farooqi. He was jailed during a show he was conducting before he had even started performing on the grounds of hurting religious sentiments and passing comments against a politician. There are other comics who also face backlash because of some remarks made by them. They were threatened, harassed, their personal information was leaked, etc.
तो भैया आप जेल क्यों गए थे?
वो बहुत बड़ी लूट नहीं हुई थी उसके चक्कर में।
और भैया आप?
मर्डर।
और भैया आप?
चुटकुला सुनाया था मैं।
Even the abolishment of Article 370 and 35A brought about havoc amongst the people. Since the article provides economical, political, and cultural benefits to Kashmiris but deprived other citizens of India of the same. With the abolishment of this article, Kashmiris lost their rights over the land and feared that they would lose their homeland too. There was a long protest against the abrogation of Article 370 due to this, and anyone who was for the protest was deemed anti-national since they were interpreted to be going against the ruling party. Another example of this is the CAA NRC. Indians are protesting against the CAA NRC because millions of Indians did not have the documents to pass the test of the NRC, due to which a good chunk of the population, which majorly included Muslims, had been placed in detention, and the protesters were deemed to be anti-national. Supreme Court Judge Justice Deepak Gupta said, "Dissent against the government is not anti-nationalism. Nevertheless, there are boundaries that must not be violated lest it causes uproar or violence."
Media is a connection between the common public and the entire world, but at times the media could be biased in their opinion, and what they show the public might not be the absolute truth. Indian media has come to a place where it is giving out decisions on every matter rather than presenting facts. Each news channel subtly supports one side, which would affect the public's decision as their minds are brainwashed according to what they hear.
10 days, despite these high-level meetings and several directives that Prime Minister has issued, PMO has issued, Health Ministry has issued, despite that, the numbers are rising alarmingly, and all the steps that have been initiated so far have not bore fruits.
Don't these two visuals or these two incidents, literally expose the Congress party's duplicity and the fact that Rahul Gandhi talks about pyar ki rajniti?
To take up a recent case of Sushant Singh Rajput's death, where a person was subject to media trial even before any actual evidence was presented that led the public to believe that she is guilty. The current media has ruined the meaning of innocent until proven guilty. Another factor that needs to be addressed is the coverage of a particular kind of news. On an average, we might see 2 to 3 crime cases a day per city that would be reported or less. But in reality, there are cases of honor killings, rape, murders of Dalits in rural areas that go unreported in order to protect people in power, as the area comes under a specific person's jurisdiction. In 2019, Justice Chandramouli Prasad said in an interview that some news is best not reported. But the question is, who decides what comes under some news? The freedom of media is barely visible nowadays because of various factors. According to an article published by The Hoot in 2017, that almost 114 reporters were attacked for the news that they were going to publish or were publishing. If this is the state of the media, then how can we expect the public to have a clear picture of what is going on around the world?
There is a thin line between freedom of speech and offending people. Offense is in the eye of the beholder, thus making it hard to define. But it is not unlawful and incurs no penalties at all, because forms of expression that are taken as routine and commonplace by many people may offend others. However, religion seems to hold a peculiar status in our constitution. Sections 295A and 298 of the IPC penalize acts that are intended to outrage or wound religious beliefs or feelings. Keeping in mind its egalitarian application, it does seem unusual that one of the social institutions, such as religion, is given a peculiar moral status in the law. Blasphemy is an issue that is faced by many countries, such as France, where the Charlie Hebdo shooting incident took place. Even in India, we have the controversy around the actress Priya Warrior. Her wink during a movie song offended some Muslims, and she was forced to go to the Supreme Court to quash the FIR against her. The reason blasphemy is given such importance is because it can cause uproars and violence against the speakers and thus leading to communal hatred. But if blasphemy is supported, it can lead to what has been called the heckler's veto. The fact that people will react to one speech violently should not silence the voice of those who want to speak out.
Cases have been filed against journalists by the Congress government in Chhattisgarh, AIADMK in Tamil Nadu, and the Shiv Sena, NCP, and Congress government in Maharashtra.
At present, our constitution does include freedom of speech, but not as an absolute right. They are restricted, and it is essential to evaluate as to what extent are these filters valid. It would take time for a country to grow, to be sensibly vocal, and to have a conscience and awareness when they speak about anything and everything.